The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading. Today's program brought to you by...
So she didn't inherit Grandpa's jawline, but there's no doubt she's family. It's your job to raise her, and it can be tough. Let's make it easier. With technology and automation, you can do more, like produce high-quality bales with way less effort. Built-in sensors can measure bale moisture and size, so you can monitor quality on the go and manage your fleet from your phone. Sit back and enjoy effortless operation. Discover an easier way to work.
Well, we had another quiet day in the grain and oilseed trade on Tuesday, just kind of chopping around, trying to find fresh news to move these markets. Meantime, though, in the cattle complex, we continue to rip-roar higher, led by the feeder cattle trade. Let's talk through these markets and get some perspective here today on Market Talk, powered by John Deere Round Balers and John Deere Operations Center. Corey Bratlin with agmarket.net joins us here on the show today. Corey, good to talk with you again, sir. Hope all is well.
Doing very well, Jesse. How things down for you?
Things are good. Things are good. I know harvest season for many folks is rolling right along. You mentioned this to me, getting some rain in your neck of the woods there in South Dakota, maybe slowing people down a little bit here early this week.
Yeah, I mentioned we're getting some rain here locally. It's about the first time, I think, since early March, I think, that I've said that we're finally getting some rain. We've had over 30 inches of rain this year where I am at locally, which is a good 10 more than what we normally get. So, we're pretty wet, but it's going to be a nice little break. Majority of the soybeans are done. The farmers are going to catch their breath here a little bit. We're not getting a lot of moisture. I think we're maybe going to get a half inch to an inch. So it'll be a nice little break away from the action and let everybody kind of catch up on a little bit of sleep as well.
Yeah, no, certainly that's always needed. Harvest season just always fast and furious. Well, I think about harvest rolling along. You mentioned beans, a lot of those getting wrapped up, corn making great progress. We don't really know exactly what percentage is harvested. We're missing that data along with a lot of other data out there. I feel the grain markets, outside of Friday's fireworks that we had and everything surrounding that, grain markets are really just kind of drifting because they're waiting on fresh news. Is that how you'd view things in the grains, Corey?
Yeah, I'm 100% agree with you there. I mean, we really are lacking that fresh news. We do have export inspections come out this morning. We saw corn, not a bad number, a little bit less than what we saw last week. Soybean numbers were above last week. So, we are getting a little bit of numbers there, but, the harvest progress is moving along very quickly. It's been a pretty hard and fast harvest here for a lot of us. I think, they did do an estimate of 15 analysts to see what percentage done we are on soybeans, and they were talking around 60%. Personally, I think myself, along with the firm that I'm with, and we kind of think we're probably more than that 75% done with soybeans. We got a few laggards like Kansas and a few of those states that they go after the corn first, and then they come after the soybeans right now. But corn harvest is going to be knocking on the doors of 45-50%, I would think, by the end of this week here as well. So here we are. It's the 13th, 14th of October, and we're going to have half this corn harvest pretty much done.
Well, thinking about these markets kind of drifting around here a bit, Corey, I'll let you take your pick, whether it's corn, beans, or the wheat complex. But anything you see from a chart perspective, look at it, technicals, fundamentals, spread trade, whatever the case may be, is there anything in particular that you're keeping an eye on, whether you're looking for a potential breakout to the upside or even to the downside? I mean, what stands out to you the most here in a quiet market like we're in right now?
Well, I mean, soybean harvest is, wrapping up here. Soybeans, even again today, we went down to 10.01 on the November contract, and we continue to hold above $10, even after the wild trading of tweets back and forth on Friday with the whole President Trump and President Xi over that. We still held above $10. We come back and stabilized yesterday. We held it again here today, and we're going to end up the day, close to unchanged in here. So after being down, 5-6 cents. So, to me, I think we have really good support here at $10. I don't really want us to see go below that and close below that. But on the flip side, I mean, our upside for the time being is limited. I've kind of said in my morning update, for a while, we got November beans 10 to 10.30, maybe 10.40 futures on the upside. I got to see probably a close above 10.30 before I can get real bullish that we're going to see a bigger move up. And then moving on to December corn, they're another one that I thought maybe we could push down closer to $4, but we seem to be finding a lot of support here right around this 4.10 level. And we continue to hold it and corn end up 2 cents here on the day. So I think, if all eyes point to maybe a little bit higher trade here, we may climb back up to this 4.25, maybe 4.30, where we find that next line of resistance. So.
How much could we take advantage of the spreads right now? That's something a lot of folks have been talking about in the absence of data and things to move the market. The carry's still pretty good. Spread action's looking fairly good out there for some folks to maybe wade into a little bit. Is that something you've been paying attention to closely here, Corey?
Yeah, last week we saw the soybean spreads really narrow up where November started to outpace, the January, the March contracts. And at the same time, we saw basis firm up. And we've seen basis across pretty much the majority of the U.S. Really firm up anywhere from, I'm going to say, 10, 15 cents on the light end to 25, 30 cents, maybe even more in some smaller areas. But but now since then we have widened back out a little bit, but they seem to be very content. So that just kind of suggests to me that, hey, when spreads aren't getting wider where we're building in a bigger carry, this market is pretty stabilized in here, and we're just going to kind of grind sideways until we get probably, let's say 60, 70% of the harvest done. And then, then we're going to see, I think where we saw some of the soybean basis narrow up was the harvest was so hard, so fast, and such dry. The farmer, like I always said when I was in the elevator, I said, you never underestimate the power of a farmer to store their bushels. And they did that again this year. And there's a little bit that's maybe this crop is over projected a little bit bigger or smaller than what it is. But I think just the harvest, the speed it was, I don't think, the elevators got their fill. And now they're coming knocking on the doors looking for some bushels and narrowing up the basis. And if they can't get them bought that way, they'll start to narrow up the spreads.
Let's switch over and talk cattle here a bit, Corey. More activity there, and just, feeder cattle especially continue to be a rocket ship to the upside here. And it's one of those things where I keep waiting for the winning streak in futures to be over. And you made the comment to me, we'll start a little lower in fats and feeders, and then by 10, 11 o'clock, here we are ripping higher again. This cattle market's just impressive, Corey.
Yeah, it is. And the live cattle, they caught a little fire end of last week. They got some higher trade. We are expecting some higher trade here this week. The demand is very strong. And what I read here this week is that 50% of the live cattle, or of the, I should say, the beef demand comes from the top 20% earners. So if we think about that out here, this higher prices aren't going to affect the top 20% earners as much it is if we're talking the lower 20%. So this demand is still staying very strong, very robust. Now we've got to continue to talk about more screwworm down there in Mexico, close to the U.S. border. I think that's just going to keep the USDA from wanting to open up that border anytime soon. So, and we're starting to hear some comments more of heifers being retained in here. So net, we're going to have less feeders are going to be in the lots in the future coming months. And boy, calves yesterday were anywhere from $10 to $20 higher. Feeder cattle were $7 to $15 a hundred higher. I'm guessing that I haven't seen the report yet from today, but I'm going to guess we're seeing something similar because we start out the day, 20, 30, 40 lower, maybe a buck lower. And I give it 10, 30. We're back $2-3 higher, and then watch out. We're just getting the party started. So
And it's something I've made this comment before, and I realize now as the price continues to go higher and higher and higher, it's easy on one hand to say, oh, you need to manage your risk and protect your downside and things of that nature. But for some folks who've maybe, sold cattle and they're trying to buy calves back in or whatever the case is here, I mean, now you're looking at getting back into this market at such an incredibly high price. I mean, there's a lot of nuances to managing your risk in this high-priced cattle environment right now, Corey.
There is. I mean, in you got such high dollar out there. When we're spending, I don't know, $3,000, $3,500 for a 5-weight, 6-weight calf nowadays. I mean, that's more than when I raise cattle. I mean, we never got anything close to that for bred cows and pairs, I should say. Let alone now we're talking 500-600 pound calf bringing well over $3,000. So, but that's the name of the game. And what I've been really preaching to all my clients is that if we get some calves bought in, hey, we've got to go out and get some type of a put underneath it, whether it's LRP or something on the board, because we may not be locking in a profit, but what I fear somewhere down the road, the next couple of years, somebody's going to buy these expensive calves. We don't get them hedged, and all of a sudden we do get that big break. It might be a couple years yet. I don't know what we're in uncharted territory. So, anybody's guess is as good as mine, but we've got a lot of money at stake here that we have to protect them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Corey, anything final you'd share with us here on the show today? Again, I know quiet in the grains, another big day in cattle. Anything else you're watching or anything you'd reiterate to folks to sum it up here today?
Yeah, just, if we start to wrap up harvest, to really take a look at, we got some pretty good corn yields I'm hearing across the countryside for the most part. If we get these little rallies where all of a sudden the spreads firm up a little bit, we got that carry out there in the market on this corn market, basis starts to firm up, really let's put the pencil to it. And if we can project a profitable scenario here with a good yield, we need to be locking some of that stuff in. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough year in ag. So if we can lock in some manageable profits, some small profits, I think that's going to be a very good start for all of us.
That's a great point to end on. I know if folks want to have a conversation, need some advice, take a look at your guys' intel and more, agmarket.net's the best way to get started. Corey Bratlin, always good to hear from you. Thanks for joining us here on Market Talk, powered by John Deere. Corey, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Jesse.
Make sure to subscribe to the Market Talk YouTube channel. You can watch our latest interviews with top market analysts in the country, find bonus content, and much more. It's easy. Just go to youtube.com/@MarketTalkAg and hit the subscribe button. Or you can search for Market Talk Ag on YouTube.